has been said that the sun never set on the British Empire. My, how things have changed. All that's left of the old country and its 14 British overseas territories spread across the Pacific, the Atlantic and the Indian Ocean. This short movie looks specifically at St. Helena, which shares administration with Ascension Island and Tristan da Cunha. There is currently only one flight a week from one city in the world, and it's from Johannesburg, on a Saturday morning, returning the same day. It's a 6-hour flight out and a 4-hour 45-minute flight back. 2 hours to Walvis Bay to fill up, to allow for any emergency rerouting or overflights. The stark beauty of the desert as one lands, tops up, and waits about 45 minutes before setting out over the Atlantic for another 3 hours to St. Helena. Once a month, the flight continues on to Ascension Island. Passing through the clouds, the island suddenly appears rising dramatically and vertically, making the volcanic island very difficult to access, leaving the island with very few beaches. The construction of the airport was quite controversial. Finished in 2015, it only received commercial flights from 2017, and there were complications with wind shear. COVID restrictions added further complications, and flights from Johannesburg only commenced at the end of 2022, although additional flights have been planned from Cape Town. It's a short runway and quite dramatic, and basically only Embraer 190 planes can be used. It is exciting to arrive on the island. The south is generally drier than the north. The biodiversity has been compromised from the first settling of the island by the Portuguese in 1502, who brought fruit trees and vegetables. The Dutch controlled it very briefly, and the British arrived in 1659. Later they brought New Zealand flax, which was used in the postal industry, but that has largely overwhelmed the indigenous vegetation. The island is about 16 by 8 kilometers, and the roads are extremely windy, and there is a rule: you have to give way to traffic that's going up or down. I actually can't remember. Anyway, one approaches Jamestown, which settles in a deep gully on the north side with its charming Georgian architecture and the main street. Christmas preparations and the Consulate Hotel, run by the inimitable Hazel Wilmot, provide a venue to watch the 2022 World Cup under the gaze of Napoleon. The French beat the English. There are 21 postbox walks on the island, ranging from fairly easy to quite difficult. Early Sunday morning is deserted as we wait for Edward Thorpe to take us on one of his renowned Sunday walks, well worth doing. Jacob's Ladder is close to renovation. I'm not sure when it'll open again. We climbed the steep western slope through Half Tree Hollow and parked at Crack Plain. The descent is quite steep, and I was concerned about the return trip. You can arrange a boat trip, but the climb out is tough. Another walk is that of Lot's Wife's Ponds. One needs to drive the southern portion in and out on the windy roads and eventually parking your car at Sandy Bay, the only sort of beach on the island, and it's black, so it's hot. It's a strenuous walk past the gates of chaos, especially in the sun, so plan your day, but it's a very impressive walk. Daily poring over plans and pouring of wine leads us to Napoleon's grave. He was brought by the English in 1815 and he died in 1821. His body returned to head office 20 years later. Nevertheless, his sarcophagus setting remains as tranquil as ever. Back in town, the library is well stocked, and there are also 2 video libraries, the upshot of a weak internet connection. We used the opportunity to explore the archive, which has seen neither flood nor fire, and we find Monica's ancestor Daniel Lappin, who died in 1861 from delirium tremens. At 860 meters, Diana's Peak is the highest point on the island. Whether you visit on an atmospheric misty day or an inspiring clear day, which allows views over the entire island and the airport, you'll visit it more than once. In addition to Napoleon, the British incarcerated the Zulu chief Dinizulu. He at least made it back, and 6,000 Boers during the Second South African War. 180 of them died and are buried in 2 graveyards, one for the Transvaal Republic and one for the Orange Free State Republic. The small but potent StHelena Museum at the base of Jacob's Ladder packs information from the last 500 years as Christmas celebrations continue. Our last walk was the Southwest Walk, starting with a drive along the central spine, parking the car and then walking the last couple of kilometers to catch the last pieces of the jigsaw puzzle, capturing the island which we'd seen from so many angles. final swing past Longwood House, Napoleon's house, and then back to the dramatic runway that had brought us a week earlier. I'm planning a return trip.